I remember when I first laid my eyes upon Monster High G3 and I was like, some of these are basically entirely new characters. Why can't you just make new characters? I mean, I know why, for the sake of brand and name recognition, but I still think making new characters could have avoided all the rage that ensued when they were revealed. But I do know how to draw, so I guess I'll just do it myself. So, welcome to Monster High Gen B! So far, I have made the entire group of protagonists, so today we're going to make antagonists. Yay, let's go! The second character I ever designed for this series, Bingo Ringling the Clown Monster, has this character arc where she goes from being a mean bully archetype to a fun airheaded jock. Today's villains are actually all her former friends, which means they all have a circus and punk theme to go along with Bingo's. I call them all the VOD villains. They all have to be somewhat cohesive, but not too cohesive since she's gonna ditch the group anyways. So instead of going for a more authentic punk, we're going to go for a rich people trying to look punk and completely missing the point approach instead. And along with that, all the characters are going to have their own circus job theme and monster species. First we have the Jester creature, the ringleader of the vaudevillains, and then her right-hand man, a magician were-rabbit, and then after that an acrobatic harpy, and lastly a strongman Bigfoot to really round things off. We'll do concept art for each character one by one and then make all the final designs together at the end. So let's get started with Jingle's Jester Belle. Since Monster High Gen B already has all the core protagonists, there's a desperate need for a troublemaking antagonist, so she's basically the Starlight Stripe of this generation. Only one word is needed to describe her: menace. Jingle's main function is to just cause mischief and chaos and therefore plot by doing things that could realistically just get her immediately expelled and possibly detained in juvie. Anyways, in order to truly showcase what a spoiled brat she is, I needed to fuse some of that princess energy with a classic mischievous jester aesthetic. I immediately thought of Odile from Swan Lake because I do occasionally watch ballet videos, and the sheer smugness of Odile combined with the athleticism and grace of a ballet dancer is such a delight to watch. I also just love the sharp sweetheart necklines and dark frilliness of Odile's costumes. And since Jingles is actually quite physically capable as well as a born entertainer, Odile is more fitting for inspiration than you'd think. Let's try to render her fabric like velvet when we make the more detailed art. Also, we need to add in obligatory edginess in the forms of zippers and spikes and leather. So let's get started. We really hit a home run given that this is the first colored concept art I ever did of Jingles. It captures her base essence perfectly. The white skin and dark eyes with blue irises make her unsettling enough to fit into the Monster High world very easily. The blue-black gradient is also very nice, but what I love most about her is the sweetheart neckline and long leather gloves, which make her feel so much like a diva. And I also really love the spiked jester collar. You could argue that a prankster character like this would dress more like a classic jester, more sensibly covered up for protection and practicality, but in my defense, we are talking about Monster High here. And I always think that adding a bit of unexpectedness to a design is like salt in your hot chocolate. The contrast makes everything better. The stockings kinda suck and the boots need work, but we are still off to a great start. Let's see how this goes. We're working on 3 detailed iterations, which I will then submit to my Discord channel for feedback. Basically, the people there just circle their least and most favorite parts so I can get some guidance on the best result possible. We're just gonna try to make this simple design more complex and doll-worthy. Also, you might be asking me, wait, aren't jesters literally just people? Well, in this generation, I decided to make clowns and mimes and jesters a monster type. I mean, like, in this universe, there are actual humans who do these things as jobs, but there are also cirque people who are like weird mimicries. Think Pennywise or something. Basically, they feed on emotions of humans and other monsters, whether it's amusement, joy, or fear, which is why they focus so much on being either very entertaining or very scary. The reason why I went in this direction and made it a big part of Monster High Gen B is because if I was working at Mattel, now would be a fantastic time to double down on the current clown craze and make some mad money. I mean, like, they've literally done it before, they can do it again, just even harder. The main things you need to know about Cirque people is that they're all technically the same species. They're just in different classes for whatever reason, with clowns and mimes being on the bottom and jesters being on the top. Because society. Jingles is a high-class jester, a very rich jester, and Bingo is just a regular old clown. Just like other Cirque people, Jingles is very athletically gifted, so she's actually quite good at contortion and dancing and all that stuff. She's also very durable, so she can actually survive all of her terrible stunt and prank ideas. You could probably run her over with a golf cart and she would be fine. She might even do that for fun. Another thing about Cirque people is that compared to other monsters, they have a shorter attention span, but when they are interested in something, they pick things up very quickly. So Bingo and Jingles both have this thing where every episode they are captivated by some random new hobby they've picked up. They both have very wide skill sets of completely unrelated things. For Jingles, a lot of these skills are used for malicious purposes, from lockpicking to disguises. Bingo is just really good at barbecues. Thanks so much for listening to that lore dump. Now, the in-universe reason why Jingles gets away with, say, stealing someone's legs or maybe trapping a ghost in a cursed jam jar is because she's a massive Nepo baby. When I say Gen B is a completely new generation, I really mean it, because all the teachers are also completely different characters. It costs a lot of money to accommodate so many different monsters with vastly varying needs. So when the mysteriously rich Mr. and Mrs. Jesterbell offer donations only as long as Jingles is enrolled, the staff really have no choice but to keep her in school or make some terrible budget cuts. Also, they might have a bit too much hope that she'll change, but Jingles is the eternal and supreme hybrid of mean girl and class clown. She has no hope of redemption and actually gets worse as the story progresses because, like, we just like the idea of it. Another thing about Jingles is that she is a character design in relation to another, Bingo, since they're ex-best friends, and it's a pretty important plot point because it motivates Jingles to target the protagonist with pranks constantly. It makes sense to have their designs work together in a way. They have to reflect each other a bit but contrast each other to not look harmonious. Bingo and Jingles both have gradients and spikes, but Bingo is more authentically punk. Jingles is more luxurious and rich feeling, and their color palettes also contrast a lot. I think I'm very happy with this. Okay, so after reviewing the feedback, we have a clear winner of the crown design, which I also love, and they also really like the platform boots. Definitely not acrobatic looking in terms of designs for shoes, but it's so Monster High, don't you think? I can just picture how nice this would look as molded plastic boots. They don't like the ripped stockings, so we're ditching those. The most difficult part of Jingles' design is trying to figure out how to make the collar and sweetheart neckline work together. I have no idea why I insist on the zip up part for it, but I think it looks punkish and cool, so like whatever. Honestly, Jingles doesn't look so punk, so I guess I am both failing and succeeding. The trouble is that the collar must look like a jester collar, but I also can't let it cover up the zip, which is not good. We'll figure it out. You know what, let's just go to the next character. Jingles' newest best friend, Harry Showman. You know, when I realized that Monster High not only had were cats but also were rats, I realized that the possibilities were basically endless. So what better monster to go with than a war rabbit to be the magician of the vaudevillains? For the specific breed of rabbit, let's go with Harlequin rabbit. Not only is it very distinct, the name and the half-half pattern make him matchy-matchy with Jingles. I always love to make couples or pairs match at least a little. It's really fun. Basically the main idea. Harry is an aggressive, always ready to throw hands meanie. He's the world's angriest card trick enthusiast. He likes to play tough, though he definitely doesn't dress the part exactly. He also has a motorcycle he got for his birthday that he drives wheelies and stuff on, but he still hates his loving parents in an angsty teenage ways. His hobbies include brooding, grumbling, fighting, making other people as miserable as he is, digging holes, and biting the legs off wooden chairs while in detention. And yet again, we have another good start for Harry. I just look at this edgelord, I love him. Piercings on rabbit ears go so hard. This half-half thing is so emo, I love it so much. The vest is of course very questionable. I hope making it obviously leather will make it less weird, more punk. His color palette hopefully obviously links him to Jingles. All the vaudevillains will only have one main color and then just black, white, grey and beige for the rest of their palette so that they really look like a group and they can be more easily differentiated from other Monster High characters who are very colorful. This also makes Bingo stand out more and makes it pretty obvious from the start that she will leave the group, so that's good. Now it's just time for round 2. We'll do 4 iterations and we're gonna do the same feedback collection thing as Jingles later. He's Jingles' best friend. Jingles is very unlike him. She's very excitable, enthusiastic, always has a smile on her face in a very malicious way, makes jokes at other people's expense constantly. They actually argue quite a bit, but they're still best friends. Also, after reading Watership Down, I have decided that Harry and all other Were-Rabbits are British. Harry is actually the backup best friend. He just got promoted to actual best friend because Bingo left the group. But despite that, they're actually like really close for some reason. Jingles and Harry are the boy-girl friendship representation you never needed because they are actually absolutely terrible for each other. On the outside, even with the trouble they cause together, they have this classic grumpy and sunshine dynamic people like so much. But of course, they are terrible influences on each other. Like, just look at him. Why would he be friends with Jingles if it weren't for the fact that he has no other options? He feels annoyed by her constantly. Jingles does not pull any punches. She will insult him. Yeah, feels bad, man. But at the same time, Harry does find Jingles a lot of fun. They egg each other on to do more extreme, dangerous things all the time. Like, Jingles doesn't exactly treat Harry like a henchman like of the other two characters. They're more on equal levels, at least it looks like that from the outside. Like, Jingles just has a way of sinking her claws into people. Even though Harry is so tough on the outside, Jingles is still his only friend, the only person he really hangs out with, and he cannot bear to lose his only source of positive social interaction. This means Jingles is able to guilt trip and goad him into doing all sorts of stuff he does not actually want to do. Even if it's something as innocuous as a tea party or something that's actually dangerous like jump through this flaming hoop, it's my birthday. As we spend ages painfully figuring out masculine fashion, let us talk about Harry's backstory. He comes from a loving family of magicians with so many siblings. Like in Monster High, there's always been this trope where the werewolves have tons of siblings. Rabbits have got to be worse. He's very unlike Jingles in that way. Jingles is an only child and she plays into that classic rich girl gets neglected by parents trope. Harry is the opposite. Harry's parents are doting and they feel really guilty about the way he turned out. Jingles' parents, I mean, they gave her money. I find it very interesting to picture what Harry's house would look like. Harry's house looks like a hobbit hole or something. It looks way too small for so many people, but there are actually many rooms burrowed underground. Alongside that, they also have what looks like an orchard in the back, but it's actually a family cemetery that's just in their backyard. Because I have to make monsters spooky, right? But Were-Rabbits are not that spooky of an idea, seriously. By the way, it would be so funny if Harry was considered nearly a 10 out of 10 in terms of attractiveness, but like only to other Were-Rabbits, solely because his fur pattern is nearly the ideal for a Harlequin rabbit. The other monsters don't get it at all when Harry says he's handsome and just think he's making it up. Harry's backstory is that he used to go to a different school meant for all types of were-beasts, but unfortunately he got bullied for being a were-rabbit in a werewolf and were-cat dominated school. He's a were-rabbit, so not the most intimidating creature in the world. He's short at 5'2" or 157.5 cm and thus perceived as more feminine, especially since he used to train in ballet. It really sucked. He used to be a prep and all that, but then all the bullying made him bitter and angry and he started fighting back like a lot. He even ended up losing a noticeable chunk of his ear. His parents ended up pulling him out and then proceeded to enroll him in the far more progressive and accepting Monster High, but by then it was too late. Now he's not getting bullied, now he's bullying other people. I think he resents his parents a lot for setting him up to get bullied by sending him to that school in the first place and letting him take ballet lessons and not teaching him to be tough enough and all those things. He's now overcompensating a lot. Ironically, his backstory is extremely similar to another character, Nayeli Cabrera the Chupacabra, but they both hate each other so much. Harry is also a lot more strong than he looks. He's very fast, he's very good at jumping, and that's another reason why Jingles likes him. When it's the full moon, Harry either turns into a monstrous rabbit-like creature or a literal just a regular rabbit. Who knows? And we are finished. Look at this strip. I am so happy with this outfit. I think it's so cool, but it's not edgy enough and it's not delinquent enough. It's too preppy and polished. The unbuttoned shirt is not enough to add the roughness to the design I want. I tried using patches and untucking his shirt for the other iterations, but I don't really like how it looks. I also added an undone bow tie because magician. All of these outfits are not cooking as hard as the first, but we will accept that. Even if a lot of these outfits are not so good, we at least have 3 new things to add to the final design, so that's nice. Now let's move on to the other two. They are more of side characters and will not get actual dolls. The first is Feather Doverly. She's the head or duke of this friend group. The snarky, underappreciated, but still super venomous ugly duckling with nothing nice to say about anybody. Yes, that's right. She might be a harpy, but she's a reverse harpy. So she looks like Daisy Duck, but pigeon colored. Before you say that's really weird, Canon Monster High has done lots of weird stuff too. Instead of bird feet and wings, Feather just has feather-covered human limbs, so she can actually dance and do acrobatics, and she actually does it quite well. She's quite light because like her sisters and like actual birds, she has hollow bones. Unfortunately, her family and a lot of other people tease her and slowly grind down her self-esteem because she just turned out weird. But you know what? She's a beautiful swan in her own right, somehow. Of course, there is a cool character idea and all that, but to be honest, the only reason I designed her this way is because you need human feet to dance ballet, or else it's just not possible. But I also did not want to give her wings because I guess my mindset was that if she had wings and did acrobatics, it would be cheating. I don't know. I actually think it would make sense for her sisters to also be doing sports, just different flight-based sports. In fact, I'm drawing them right now so you can see what I'm talking about. I love that they still look related to each other despite all this. I also based her design off Pluton's iterations, so that really helped out. Blonde hair with side always goes so hard. I don't care if you literally have a beak, it's so pretty. I actually really love how this character unintentionally tied into the ugly duckling story in a small little way. I made her more monstrous and gave her a beak because I wanted to make another more monstrous Bigfoot creature. But I wanted it to be fair because, you know, when it comes to monster characters in media, male characters are usually allowed to be, you know, actually scary or actually non-human looking, and female characters often aren't allowed to reach their full potential in that regard. So I wanted to do a female character more on the anthropomorphic side for fairness sake. Her color scheme here is pretty damn good. I like it a lot, and I also like the idea of the skirt cage. The way the outfit is structured and the silhouette does not fit a ballet dancer or an acrobat, so we'll have to change that, but the shoes are still quite nice. So it's time to do more iterations. We're gonna use a fishnet collar or transparent black fabric on the neckline to make her more edgy, and of course keep the skirt cage and add a tall skirt with a neckline. This really gives me so much Severe Lydia vibes from Beetlejuice musical. By the way, thank you Pluton for helping me so much with the concept art. It's pretty obvious where Feather's cynical and mean personality came from. Even though she's also higher class, at home she's the underdog and she has a poor relationship with her sisters. Her family is actually the reason why she's friends with Jingles in the first place. Jingles' parents and Feather's parents are actually business partners, so from young they've met, and Feather's parents always pressure her to make Jingles happy and be her friend so that their own business relations won't be affected. Jingles, of course, kind of knows this. She definitely takes advantage of this power imbalance and makes fun of Feather. Her sisters also do, but like they don't really get how hurtful it is to hear small jokes and comments about your body over your entire lifetime. Jingles knows though. Jingles just does it for fun. They have a very toxic friendship. Feather lashes out at other people to feel better about herself. pretty simple character. Let's see if she has some style to back it up. I think all these iterations are quite decent. For the feedback, the 4th iteration was the least liked, so let's just ignore it. The cousins like both the hairstyle and skirt for the 1st and 3rd designs. They don't actually like the 2nd skirt, so at least we know what to do. It's hard to figure out the neckline, but I think that the 1st fishnet collar is winning here, and so are the 3rd sleeves because they look wing-like. I also prefer the blonde hair, so let's go with that. The final design should be pretty smooth, so let's just move on to the next character. Solomon Guygon. He's a Bigfoot strongman. Aesthetically, he's far more monstrous than my usual characters. He's tall, strong, furry. To make his very simple concept more visually interesting, we're going to do two things. Firstly, base him off a more distinct monkey breed rather than the standard Bigfoot gorilla. And secondly, try to mesh up the strongman aesthetic with some edgy, roughed up luxury fashion. You know, like how $1,000 brands will charge you money to look like you're cosplaying homelessness. Pluton already made iterations for him too, making life so much easier for me. This fit goes hard. I'm really into the idea of a Bigfoot wearing a turtleneck, so let's see how this goes. We'll do 4 iterations for him. Solomon is actually the nicest character in this video, but he has no backbone and succumbs to peer pressure to be mean. If you're alone with him, he'll actually be pretty nice, but if he's with his friends, he will assist them in their crimes. I mean, he does sometimes try to gently dissuade his friends from maybe not doing such things, but it doesn't really work. I would really prefer having an episodic series like G3 rather than the character webisodes of G1. I mean, those were fun, but I just like the idea of having an ongoing plot and character development, even though I can't really write because I don't have practice. But I think that in terms of character function, Solomon is really just a henchman, and he would only really get time to shine in terms of actual character arc after Bingo leaves. Because when Bingo leaves, Feather also leaves, and then he leaves, and then the rest of the series, the only 2 bully characters are just Jingles and Harry. Solomon and Feather are the actual boy-girl friendship we need, because they are, you know, actually good friends and they hang out a lot and they're actually healthy influences on each other. It's really interesting getting out of my comfort zone a little to design a more monstrous character. A fact about Solomon though is that he's actually half human. His dad is a scientist who met a Bigfoot in a forest, and the rest is history. Solomon just doesn't look like it at all. He's just several inches shorter than the average Bigfoot, so it gives him a whole identity crisis. If you know anything about being mixed but only looking like one race, yeah, we are going in that direction. Monster High loves race metaphors, so don't blame me. We could definitely just make them into an episode idea, like Jingles is like, Solomon, I know you have a human dad, but like you literally don't look human at all. You're basically not human, like stop saying that. And then Solomon just like starts spiraling like, am I? What am I? And then he has to like embrace his human side, which I don't really know what it means. Maybe he like has a really good barbecue or something. Aside from being strong and knowing how to lift weights, Solomon likes nature and hiking and all that forest stuff. In the character inspiration mood board we also have a picture of Steve Irwin for some reason, so I guess Solomon is Australian, and we are done with the iterations. Why do these fits cook so hard? I'm so baffled. I'm not saying that it actually fits with the theme that I'm going for, but I still think it looks cool. I love the obviously fake claw marks on his knitted sleeveless turtleneck. It's so pretentious. It's so cool. The main thing that we want to do with his design is to make the idea of a strongman clear but not cliche, which is why he's dressed more fashionably and classy than you would expect. The main thing that we have to do though is add obvious strongman symbols. So the first design, you can't really tell what we're aiming for at all because it's just this chain thing. For the second design, it's a medal he wears, which is not obvious enough. So for the last 2 designs, I went with a belt. The 4th belt is the best belt because it's the largest and it's a key feature of his design. But I also don't want him to run around shirtless. I'm gonna give him a turtleneck. I don't care if it doesn't fit with the punk aesthetic, I just think it looks so cool and it looks nice, so why not? Now that he's done, we can finally do the final designs. Oh my gosh. Oh, that was a pain. But now we are free. You know what? Let's just skip over the time lapse because I have nothing to talk about, and let's just look at the final designs and review them. Let's start with Jingles. Jingles, why did you turn out this way? I hate and love Jingles at the same time, man. I just think the white pattern is questionable. Maybe it would look good on a doll, like an actual doll, but I just don't like it that much. I also don't like the collar that much. I blame the pose. But I do like some small details about her, like she has a purple mouth, adds a bit of color, it makes her look even more inhuman. I mean, her jester hat stiffer, it gives her a stronger silhouette, and it works so well with the crown. I think her hat is like very good, so at least that part worked out. I think the boots are nice too. She's one of the better designs I've made for sure, even though the collar does need work. Now we need to check. Do Harry and Jingles work together in a pair because they're besties? Let's see here. I do think they do work well together because Harry also has this half-half thing going on with the pants. We love the card detail on his knee. It is so hard to make masculine fashion as detailed and out there as feminine fashion sometimes, but I think that this was a good attempt. The jacket is nice, the vest is a good subtle way to match him with Jingles some more. But the bow tie and the unbuttoned shirt is where things are going slightly wrong. The bow tie is nearly the same color as the vest, so it's lost in the design really easily. So I should really just make it black and then make the vest a brighter red. I also want to button up his shirt more. The smaller details about him I love the most are his ear piercings and also the chunk out of his ear because it adds some backstory without saying a word. So I'm actually very happy with Harry. Yippee! Now for Feather, I think that she's a pretty well-designed minor character. She does give me those severe Lydia vibes, so I guess I succeeded. I like the fishnet of the skirt cage. I just like the skirt cage, but I also like that it's high-low. You know, it's a high-low romantic tutu. I like it because the silhouette kind of looks like a bird's tail, but maybe I'm just making stuff up. The shoes are definitely too plain, and the big diamond is kind of weird. The idea behind the diamond thing is that Jingles buys love from people. So what she does is that she will just give all her friends expensive gifts, like Harry's golden fisticuffs. So one day Jingles was cleaning up her massive jewelry box. She pulled out this diamond thingy and she was like, "Whoa, this looks hideous. I know exactly who to give it to." Feather feels pressured to wear it, so after she ditches the group, she doesn't wear it anymore. It's basically a representation of her being under Jingles' pressure. Solomon's present is this massive wrestling belt. It's so silly, I love it. Jingles also just gave it to him as a competition prize or something. It's also essential to linking him together with the rest of the group. Otherwise, he really does not look like a strong man at all. I think this turtleneck looks so silly, the cuts look so fake, so I automatically love it because it's so fun. The weird pockets with the zippers are actually a way to make his pants look interesting. They're supposed to look like patchwork meant to repair holes, but like a luxury version of it. I think his hiking boots also look nice. His design is remarkably decent, so I don't know what I would improve. So that's all of them. You know, I do take ages to design a single character, so 4 characters took 1,000 years, but I think it was really worth the effort in the end. Like all of my characters, there's definitely room for improvement, but I'm actually really happy with them because I think maybe circus teams aren't so difficult to do. I don't know. Now that I have proper villains for my Generation B series, I basically have all the characters I need to make an actual story. So yay! Can't wait to see what we do with them. I really appreciate all the help I got from Pluton and Blub and Dip and Selena and all the others who gave me feedback and helped motivate me on this tiresome journey. I really hope you like their designs too. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope I can make an animatic or something with them. We'll see how. Have a good day, cousin. Bye!